Lord, I'm going to start roughly in the 1800s. How's that? Okay. So, but I think there's enough there. Now, believe it or not, where it really began to take off Satanism, and again, you could go back further if you wanted to, but where I want to start with here was this period called the Romantics. Now, don't confuse that with that cool 80s group, okay, for those of you hooked on whatever. But really, it was called the Romantics or Romanticism period, okay? And this was a period, it was highlighted kind of most popular between 1800, 1850, and forward, okay, during that time. And basically, this was a time where it was an intellectual movement, right? And they were heavy duty into art and literary works and music and all that stuff. And they promoted their beliefs in art and music and literature and education, quote, influencing liberalism and radicalism. What does that sound like? Today, right? But you're thinking, well, okay, so they went out there and promoted ideas that Valentine's coming up and you guys need to be romantics. That's why they were called, no, it had nothing to do with that. And I quote, the Romantics, what they were so intellectual about, and they had to push this idea through art, music, education, literature, was that Satan, watch this, was really a hero. That's what the Romantics pushed, that Satan was a hero. Now, this is going in around 1800, 1850 and forward, okay? They recast him as an admirable magnetic rebel. He was a hero, quote, defying God's authoritarianism. Because, if you follow God, what a boring life that is. I don't want to, hear people, I don't want to get saved now. I mean, think of all the fun I'm going to miss. That's a lie. God has his parameters in his words to protect you. Every time he not only says yes, all of his commands are for our good. Not just the yeses, but the no's. You know what the no's are there for? Not to, I'm missing out on fun. It's to protect you from danger. Amen. Right? But Satan has got people to doubt God's word and somehow being obedient to God. You're not blessed. You're missing out on fun. No, he's trying to protect you from being destroyed. But these guys go, oh, no, he's this hero. Can you believe this? These guys actually said Satan was a hero, right? But that was that during that period. Now, during this time, there was a symbol that they created to symbolize this fact that Satan was a hero. And this is where this one comes from today. Okay, here's the Romantics during that period, 1700s to start, but it really peaked in 1850. But here's the symbol that was created by this guy, Eliphas Levi. Okay, he was this guy who was an occultist. In fact, he not only was an occultist, he's a French guy. He's a ceremonial magician and occultist, author of over more than 20 books. Okay, and he's, quote, considered the greatest occultist of the 19th century. So this dude was heavy duty into the occult, right? And so, of course, what's he going to say? Satan's what? He's a good guy. And again, they rally around this symbol that we still have to deal with today, and here it is. That's where it came from this guy right here. He's the one during this romantic time, Satan's a hero, that this is our guy. This is the guy who's a good guy. He's there. He's the ultimate rebel. We need to listen to what he says, the Baphomet sign, okay? This is the actual official symbol. We'll get to, Lord willing, our history section, if we're still alive and still here, when we probably have a whole study just on Anton LaVey and the Church of Satan. But this is where they get it from, is back as far back as this guy. And it's also on the cover of the Satanic Bible, written by Anton LaVey, which he kind of ripped off from a bunch of other sources and things of that nature we'll eventually get into. But as we saw, these are what's called sigils. We dealt with this in our witchcraft study. Sigils are basically symbols, pictures depicting a demon or an entity, in this case Satan, that is to help you with your spells and incantations and things of that nature. And so that's where it came from, is this guy. Now, I said all that to get to this, right? So you have this Romantics, these guys, 1800, 1850s, when they're peaking, right? That Satan is a hero of all things, and they're promoting it through education, literature, music, and the arts. At the same time this is going on, guess what was also birthed in 1859? Darwin. In his book, The Origin of Species, right? Now, if you know anything about Darwin, evolution did not start, the live evolution, in 1859. It goes much further back, okay? You got people like Charles Lyell and others that influenced Darwin. So again, the same time that you got these romantics saying that Satan's a good guy, what was going on at the same time? A lie that was causing people to what? Step one, doubt God. That's what evolution does. Doubt God, doubt his existence, doubt the Bible, and right when that's going on, shocker, here comes Satan speaking into these people's heads, I'm here to help you. And it wasn't long that all of a sudden they what? He's a hero. We need to listen to him. Isn't this crazy? It's the exact repeat of Genesis 3. And it's going to cause the rise of full-blown Satanism, okay? Now, they continued this throughout the 19th century, the romantic, that Satan's a hero. A number of individuals took Satan out of the, quote, Christian traditional narrative and, quote, reread and reinterpreted him, again, as a good guy, okay? And again, they even flat out just began to take on the term of not just the romantics, but they literally, that period was called romantic Satanism. So if there's any wonder what they were pushing, it was this, okay? And again, they began to saying that he's just a bad guy. You know, he's just, there's of course Darwin. Took me a while to find that picture, by the way. This is getting old. I got to hold a popsicle stick with a wiener dog on it. Work with me. Okay, but anyway. But there he is with the origin of species, okay? But this is like some of the artwork. It's saying, he's just, the Christians, it just painted him to be a bad guy. And he's really here to help us. He's a hero. This is the kind of baloney that they were doing. And again, back in the day, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have cell phones. They couldn't send out tweets or text messages. So what did they do to influence people? Art. And notice they were doing everything. Art, music, literary, education, the whole 9 yards. They went gangbusters with this lie from Satan, right? And then, listen to this. They were even considered, quote, and this is their terms, not mine, radical left-wing political ideas. Because, isn't this crazy? It's like today is being repeated. Well, shocker, because Satan, he's just what? He waits for another generation. What's the axiom? Those who don't learn their history are what? Doomed to repeat it. When you don't learn the history of how Darwinian evolution caused people to doubt God in the 1800s that gave birth to the romantics, i.e. Satanism, that Satan's a good guy, guess what? The same ideas, the same methodology, the same pipe dream is going to be repackaged for this generation. Same thing that's going on today. But they were considered radical left-wing political ideas because, again, they didn't want people to just believe he was a good guy. They started going to the next stage. And the next stage is we need to have the whole world listen to this guy to save the world, to create a utopia, right? And so they began to get political in this lie as well, okay? They even were considered radical leftists. Direct quote. Crazy, right? Now, let me give you some of these guys during this period who's promoting this, okay? This is a French guy named Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, okay? He was a staunch critic of Christianity. Shocker. So he was a critic of Christianity, so he doubted God, and then what? He bought into the lie that Satan's a good guy. Okay, and he embraced, quote, Satan as a symbol of, listen, liberty, and begins to promote that, right? Another guy at this time was another guy, this is from Russia. His name's Mikhail Bakunin, whatever, and he described Satan as, quote, the eternal rebel, the first free thinker and, quote, emancipator of the worlds. Again, buy into the lie, evolution, and what comes next? You believe the lie that Satan's a good guy, and they promote it. And he's the one that's going to bring peace to the planet. Now, here's another guy, and this guy's in America. He actually was an American feminist. His name is Moses Harman, and he used a periodical, and if any doubt of what he was promoting, the name of his periodical was Lucifer the Light Bearer. Gee, I wonder what he was trying to promote. He saw Satan as a, quote, symbol of freedom and equality, including for women, which tells you even more of the roots about feminism and those behind it, as we saw clearly, certainly from witchcraft, but now you even see the thread from Satanism. Okay, but again, first doubt God, then Satan somehow is a good guy. Let me give you another one. So this is going on all over the world. Just like evolution began to spread all over the world, so then hard on its heels was the lie that Satan's a good guy. This is a guy from Italy. right? Giosi Carducci, right? And he writes the Hymn to Satan, okay, and promoting that as well. Here's another guy, William Blake. He wrote a couple books. One's called The Marriage of Heaven and Hell. And this guy began to promote Satan as not just a good guy, literally what? He's a Messiah. He's the real Messiah we should be following. And whatever he says, that's our hopes to bring peace to the planet. Isn't this nuts? But what's the tactic? First doubt God, then buy into the lie that Satan's really here to help us. Listen to him. God's keeping something from you. Follow Satan. Crazy. And it's one thing for people to believe that, but these guys promote it. Satan also was employed in the writings of, here it is, socialist leaders. Are we dealing with socialism today? In fact, watch this, folks. Guess who also was into Satanism? Karl Marx. At the same time. Okay, this was going on. In fact, I've shared this before.